Hmm. Hello, everybody. This is Isaac C. Singleton Jr. Wait for Ace to come on board. We're going to talk about some fun things again today, hopefully. Hope everybody had a great week. Hello there,
Good,
Megan. How
hopefully.
you
I'm
doing?
hopefully.
Hello, everybody. This is my friend.
How are things going?
You know what? I had a great week. It was wonderful. And I'm an American man, so I did watch some football this past Sunday. Had a great time.
That's good. That sounds very American. Huh?
It was very American.
Yeah, so it's so good to see you. It's been a really interesting week. I'll explain in a bit, but let's start with our three thank yous and then we'll dive right in. How does that sound?
All righty then. Ladies.
Thank you. I'm so happy and grateful to be on this live. I'm also incredibly happy and grateful that we have a trusted network of individuals that we've known for a while. And we can talk about and ask each other about other situations and people. Getting a really good idea of firsthand and secondhand experiences. And the third thing I'm grateful for are my parents, because they are awesome and I love them. Thank you.
So many different things. I'm thankful I got to go to a good fellowship this past Sunday with some people I've known for quite some time. Went to a nice church Sunday morning. For my dad and their health. For my health also, and just the fun people I know and the great things I know that are coming up this year. So I'm thankful for all these things.
That's good. That's a nice smile too to see. That's great. Happy to hear that.
So thank you.
I also wanted to actually think about and talk about MLMs.
Multi-level marketing.
I feel like we should talk about that because that's something that's actually rather interesting. It's very controversial, right?
Yeah.
What's your experience with them? Because I'll share with mine as well.
My experience with them has been, it's been a really up and down, mostly a down thing. You go to these meetings and you get really excited and you talk about the money you can make and the people you get involved with and all this kind of stuff. But for the most part, I'm not very good at those, so I don't really enjoy them because I'm not the kind of guy that goes out and recruits people to come to meetings and come see this great new platform. And a lot of times the people that are doing these meetings have large organizations or even have access to many people that already have done other meetings with and other organizations, and they have a network of people they can just call and start their downline immediately and start making money. But unfortunately, a lot of people that get sucked up into it, that get invited to these meetings by a good friend or anybody, they go to these meetings, they hear the hype about all the money they can make, but they leave, and about a week or two later, all of a sudden they realize money is not coming the way they thought it was going to, and they kind of just burn out and pretty much leave the company. That's what happens a lot of times with people who do MLM, because they get excited because there's somebody up there talking about the money they've made, and they can show them oh yeah, I'm getting a car bonus, and this is what I've done. I've worked, I'm making this much per month, and this, all you got to do is buy this product every single month or whatever, and then, and, but at the end of it, people are just not happy because, yeah, these people at the top, they're making great money because they've got a network already in place before they even get in the company. But these other people, they have to really scratch, and then turns around and they're like, family doesn't want to see them coming because always another business they got it going on, or friends won't talk about their business anymore because that's all they're talking about. They're excited, but at the same time they're burning out because nobody wants to hear about this business
Yeah,
area. You know
let's
what I
talk
mean?
about the origins of that. Yeah, remember, so in the 80s, I believe, there was like a big burst of it, right? It was in regards
Mm-hmm.
to like, okay, the old way of creating money isn't working anymore. It's not as secure, so let's figure out a new way. And then there was a bunch of rebels who created these systems, right?
And the basis was, in my opinion, become your own boss. You don't have to work about a 9 to 5 anymore. You set your own schedule. These all things sound great to people. Because then who doesn't want to be their own boss instead of answering somebody else at a job they have to go to every single day for a certain amount of pay? And this also gives you this whole thing about, yeah, you dictate how much you're going to make, but how strong and how hard you work as far as recruiting people for our business. And it all sounds great in principle, and it works great for some people. Don't get me wrong. Some people do exceptionally well in these, but for the most part,
So
the
let's
average person
talk
does
about
not.
why. So I believe, to be very frank, if you're in an MLM, that means you're really good at sales. Like you have a sales personality. You can speak sales. You can actually know selling points in a way that I don't like persuasion because that term bothers me when it comes to selling, and it's not based off of integrity. It sounds more like manipulation to me. But the idea is like when you're speaking to somebody and it's like a win-win situation, right? Then it's perfectly fine. That makes sense to
Yeah,
me. When it's not, that's when MLMs get the really bad rap.
that's true.
It really does depend.
Oh, mm-hmm. But the bottom line is you got to go with the company. And like some people, like I said, are successful at it. I know some people who are successful at these, and I'm very happy for them. And I don't poo-poo the idea of it. If you can really go for it and do
Yeah.
it well, then go for it. A lot of people, the average person, sometimes doesn't have the wherewithal to stick
Yeah.
with it and keep going after it, and out, and also
Yeah.
get jaded and bitter about it. So I'm not bitter about MLMs because I see them working for some people. But I at the same time, I know it doesn't work for everybody. And matter of fact, there's even a statistic, I think like 20%. I don't even know if it's 20% really actually go on to do quite well in these businesses. Like the 80% are the ones that kind of fall to the wayside after they've done it for a little while and just don't see the numbers that they thought they were going to see. They don't have the excitement anymore. And after a while, they don't want to go to these places where you got to go bring somebody to a Zoom or go to some corporate building and bring the people to some boardroom to sit down and listen to the pitch, or go to some hotel and go to the boardroom of some hotel or and listen to the pitch about their new upcoming company that's going to be change the whole world and make everybody
Yeah.
financially
I agree
free.
with that. Plus the thing is, so there's an there's actually an education you should have before going into an MLM. And a lot of people don't know that. They think, okay, we'll train you on the spot. It
Mm.
doesn't matter. You'll figure it out. And then you'll keep going. And then, yeah, the business acumen that you really need comes from understanding how to create your own business first. And that's so important. Isaac, you
Mm.
already know how to do that. You also know how to, which I find really impressive, and a lot of actors actually don't know how to do this. You know how to go through your professional expenses, portfolio, etc., to make sure it's prepared for your tax preparer, prepared for like um, anything financially compliant. And that is incredibly important for you, for any artist. I know it's not our brain. I know it's not our brain. I get it. We're more of the creative, let me be free type of situation. But if you truly want to have a professional experience as an actor or any type of artist in this industry, you have to know your compliance. Like you have to know if you're operating at an LLC or an S corp. You have to know that this is the taxes, these are your tax breaks, and all of that stuff, right? And like be completely grounded and take responsibility for that. Because if you don't, it is so easy to go into not just acting, but going into like an MLM and then completely just burning yourself out without realizing, oh, I needed to know that before I did this.
Well, yeah, I know, but you know, I've seen a lot of different MLMs over the years. And the thing they always tell you, the people you're upline tell you, first thing you got to do is sit down and write down the names of everybody you know, and don't judge anybody. Don't prejudge anybody whether they will do the business or not do the business. Just call them and introduce them to our company, or even introduce them to me, and I'll upsell them to the company and show you how you can make the money. Because as you show these people the money, you're going to also be able to build money yourself. And I can understand why people would be reluctant to do this, because these are your friends, even family. And a lot of times you don't want to tell your friends and family these things because you want to keep them as your friend. And a lot of times people have lost friendships by calling and saying, hey, look at this new business I'm doing. And there's a lot of people I know who've gone from MLM to MLM to MLM, and they've never really made any of them succeed because they don't stick with the same company, or sometimes the compensation plan of the company changes, or the company goes out of business, or various different reasons why. But they still love the idea of MLM, and it's great because I know that some people can be successful at them, but at the same time, I can also see the burnout and how it kind of
Yeah.
affects their lives and the people around them too. Because you don't want to burn your bridges with your friends. You don't want people to run away every time they see you coming because they're worried about the next business you're going to be talking to
Another
them
thing
about,
is like, yeah. Yeah, and the very important thing, in my opinion, is like, yes, you don't want to burn those relationships, but also importantly enough, understanding what people actually either need or want in regards to expanding their like career, right? If it aligns, great, perfectly fine. That is okay to introduce and ask somebody to connect with somebody else because there's actually a good purpose. If it's not that, there's no reason to connect somebody, in my opinion. Like if some people are like, all right, let me connect you to this person, maybe you'll have a relationship down the line. I'm like, that's not how this works. I'd prefer like, okay, both of us would get along on a professional level, right? Personalities would match, same similar values, you know, great, awesome. It's very similar to matchmaking. But you don't want to waste somebody's time professionally, and you don't want them, like, this is kind of the goodwill and the integrity of the person connecting you. If they're going to connect you, it's because something would be fortuitous between you two, right? And you want to see that happen.
Yeah.
That person wouldn't do that unless there was a reason for it. Now, we've met bad connectors.
Yeah. They don't. Once again, I think everybody, even their connectors, I think they really genuinely are trying to make things better for themselves and for others. I don't think they go in with a nefarious attitude of like, well, I'm going to get this one, you know, and going to screw them over. I think they honestly go into it thinking this is going to be a positive thing for everybody and everybody can make money. But unfortunately, sometimes they just connect you to the wrong people or the wrong business, and it just doesn't work.
That's what you come up with when I say bad connectors. So when I think about bad connectors, I'm not thinking of it in the sense of like morally bad. But that's that. I mean, like, that's good to know.
Okay.
I'm thinking of it more in the sense of people that try to connect people, but there's actually an art to it, right? When you're connecting others for collaboration, there's a very succinct paragraph that you can send to somebody about, hey, this person wants this. This is the services that you provide, or both of you want to accomplish this. You have this part of the vision completed. This person has the other part of the vision that can be completed and contributed. I would love to connect you two because I believe both of you would be able to complete the vision of your dreams here. Thank you so much for being open to connect, and then move forward with that. If you can't fill in those blanks, Don't connect the person.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. And when I was saying connecting as in bad, I wasn't thinking they were morally bad. I just think they just didn't really have all their facts in a row and were sending you out, meeting you, introducing you to people that necessarily you don't really connect with at all to begin with. And also next time, and also your business acumen doesn't, or what you're trying to do doesn't really go along with what they're trying to do. And you're trying to connect these people too, and the business doesn't work out sometimes, and also the connection doesn't work out sometimes. So then it turns into a big fail at that way also. So I'm saying I didn't think they were doing it in a bad way, just like in an effective way about just connecting in general, just because they're thinking about trying to get their numbers up, and that's how some people do it. Just numbers, numbers, numbers. Get as many people in here as possible so I can make more money by bringing in so many masses of people, as opposed to thinking about, well, this is even go along with what they're doing. Don't listen to these people who are above you. It's like, don't matter who it is, don't matter prejudging anybody, just bring everybody. Well, if you know somebody doesn't even like that kind of stuff, why even do it? I remember this guy a couple years ago. I was out with some friends. We were at a house party, and this guy was like, "Hey, I got this business where I'm bringing in a certain amount of money this kind of month and all that kind of stuff." I said, "Okay." He said, "You want to meet me about it?" I said, "Well, first of all, I want to make sure it's not an MLM, is it? Because I don't really like those MLM kind of companies." So I specifically said, "Is it an MLM, Tim?" He said, "Oh, no, don't worry about that. No, it's not that. I just come on over and I'll show you all about it." And he said, "Oh, yeah, there's a book I got and all that kind of stuff." I said, "Okay." So I drove all the way down to Orange County to meet this guy. I live up here. And we meet at a coffee shop. And this is where I got upset, because his integrity was not there from the beginning. He whips out this stuff talking to me about one of these MLM companies. And I said to him, I said, I asked you before I drove down here, I said, "Is it an MLM company?" You said it was not. Now you've lied to me, for instance, just to get me down here to try to show me your great company when I told you I don't like to do MLMs like this. Why'd you do this? Well, I told you specifically what I did want to do and what I did not want to do. And you just pretty much wasted my time having me drive all the way down here to listen to your spiel. Orange County is an hour or more away from where I live, depending on what time of day it is.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how upset I was.
I remember this one time somebody did the same thing to me. Very similar. Very, very similar. And then there was a point where I was just like, why am I signed up for this? What is this going to do? How is this helping me? Are we sure this is going to work? And then I remember sitting down, and there were certain aspects that I actually did find valuable. But when it came to what they wanted me to do specifically, I was like, that's not what I'm going to go there for. And I'm going to be very transparent about that. Not going to do that. But I am intrigued by these two aspects that were presented, and I'll go to your event for those two reasons. And then they tried to force me into whatever else they needed me. And I was like, no, exactly.
Because the thing is, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves at that point. They're thinking about, well, I got to get the numbers up because I can make this money off of these people. Well, that's not what you're supposed to be thinking about. You're supposed to be thinking about helping them. And then as you help them, then it helps you.
And that's actually the fastest way a company fails. The moment you forget about the individual, the person, is the moment that everything collapses. So it's like really, really, really important to understand that if you are doing a business or connecting with people in that way, it should never be coming from a place of, I need to make 8 calls today and turn them into a sale today. That's no. It should more. It's more along the lines of like, oh, look, I found something that could actually be helpful for somebody. I can send them your way.
Now, I remember when I was in sales right out of college, I sold copy machines. There were used copiers. My boss wanted me to call them refurbished. Anyway, so I'd have to go out and actually knock on doors on businesses. And even the door said no solicitors. My boss said, you got to go inside the door and give them your card and tell them what we do anyway. I'm like, okay, which was in many ways a good way for me for my acting training, to not worry about being, as people would say, rejected. Because I didn't feel any rejection. I remember one time I walked into a guy's office. I gave him my card. I remember he wouldn't even look me in the face, because outside the door said window, said no solicitors. He wouldn't even look at me. He took my card Immediately started wiping coffee up off of his desk with my card. Coffee off his desk, so he just spilled his coffee before I came in. Used my card to wipe the coffee and scrub it into the garbage pail he had. Threw my card in the trash. And I finished my spiel. He never looked at me once, and I just walked back out the door and said, well, thank you for your time, you know. But I remember he was like, the sign outside, he didn't even have to say it. The sign outside said, no solicitors. I don't want you in here. And it just that alone showed me, okay, I'm not supposed to be in here. You don't want me in this office. So I left. But at the same time, I didn't feel stabbed or even hurt. I was like, okay, I thought it was kind of funny, to be honest with you, because I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to experience in this kind of a deal, you know. Sales is not easy, but it's fun. But yeah, but in sales, you know, I had to get on and do call sheets and actually call businesses daily and hopefully get a meeting set up just so I can go out and meet with them and show them a copy sheet, you know, things like that, you know.
Yeah,
So
well, in my opinion, I believe like if you're doing that, like that actually helps build your confidence as you get older, so that you kind of understand, even if somebody says no to you, you know your worth. Like somebody could say no to, let's say, I don't know. Like I remember I had an interview once and then I didn't get the job, but I didn't feel awful about it. Mainly because I was like, oh, okay, then it's just not a fit. Like you don't want to be in you don't want to accept something that you're going to be miserable in. And usually that's a good thing. Like that's usually what I think. Whenever somebody says no, we don't want you for this specific role, it has nothing to do with like my ability, but more of like if I ended up working with somebody and we continue to work consistently together for a month, would I drive myself nuts because I would hate it, or would I drive myself in a way that's actually encouraging and motivating and I'm growing and I'm happy? That's the part that I really like. That secondary vision is what you want to go for. The first one, if somebody says no to you and that's the possibility, it's okay.
yeah.
Thank you. I don't know why, but I just felt very compelled to do it.
Well, yeah, that's when it's a perfect fit for you.
Yeah.
That's
So
when it
like
works.
when we talk about MLMs, I honestly believe if you are a really good salesperson, go for it. Yeah. If you're not,
True.
don't touch it like whatsoever.
Yeah, because that's what happens. They get you all hyped up at the meeting. You see the money, you see all these different things that these people are socially living, and you're like, I want to do this too. But you got to sit back and think about, okay, ask yourself these questions. Do I know myself well enough to know whether I'm going to really go for this hard enough to do this? Because I got to go for this while I'm still doing my regular job. And do I want to allot this time to go do this after my job is over? That's one thing I do, because you got to really
And I
grind
also
away
believe like
things.
if the yeah
Network
and
already.
and usually the person that's like leading or encouraging you to do it, they're good at that. They're going to be very good at being able to do that. They're also going to be asking for your time. They're going to be like, come to this event for this long, come to this event for this long. And it's so important that if you're able to commit that much amount of time and then do what you can, like great. Like don't be so Cash Raston, I actually heavily admire Cash Raston. He's a very wonderful person, and I also believe he's a diligent and brilliant man, right? He is a CEO for when it comes to life insurance, and he showed me some of the most amazing, like basically the way to understand compliance that still has integrity, like how you invest your money into a specific type of life insurance that could be more than like 7 times the return from your seriously more than 7 times the return from your savings or any type of stock. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Did I have the money at the time to invest in it? No, but that made a lot of sense. And he was actually in the Think and Grow Rich movie. Yeah, I had no idea. I
Oh, he's
met
in
him
that
and
movie
then I
too.
saw
Okay.
him in the movie and I was like, oh, that's cool. um,
It's
yeah, it made
philosophy.
sense because I was actually like, my results coach was um was trained by Bob Proctor, who also read Think and Grow Rich and actually knew the people that were really heavily invested in it. And I remember Cash doing a course that was very similar to what my results coach did. And I was just like, oh, you all got this from Think and Grow Rich. Okay. Um, yeah, that was awesome. So like, I respect him and his way of running his business and understanding how to utilize MLM to the best of his ability there. That's fine. And he also cares about every person. Like, you can see it. He very strongly cares about each person who works with him.
That's because that's what you got to have. You got to have that true, genuine.
Yeah.
Like, hey, thanks for joining up.
Yeah,
See ya.
that's another
You know what
green
I
or
mean?
red flag when somebody asks you from an MLM to work with them. It's like, are they like Cash in the sense of being very genuine, making sure every person is important, understanding how to help people not go the numbers game, like the numbers game in the sense of just cutting out the person, but really seeing how it helps people. Like, that's how you know you can actually work with somebody, in my opinion, and be led by them.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But then
that's true.
again, like I
I
said,
believe that.
green or red flag, sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, he is actually now I believe he's at Capital Group, and he became one of the first like minority partners at Capital Group recently, and he mentioned to me that a good leader paired with an incredible idea will work 100% of the time. But if you don't, yeah, if you don't have either,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah. I also think the climate we're living in right now, though, as far as some companies that you thought they were going to be there forever, are kind of faltering and going to the wayside. And I think of some companies that aren't even in existence anymore that you never thought would go away because the economy has changed so much as far as like how people purchase things.
Gosh, it swung so fast. But then again, like when you think about it, remember when Netflix and Blockbuster,
And Blockbuster had a chance to be part of Netflix. They had a chance. But like, nah, y'all aren't gonna last. You're just some digital thing online sending CDs to people's or DVDs to people's houses, and that's not gonna work. And Blockbuster said, "We'll just keep doing what we do. You do what you do." Now look at
yeah,
Netflix. They're sending DVDs out to your house. All you gotta do is just, hey, this is to make a subscription, and you just watch what you want to watch whenever you want to watch. Just sit in front of your TV, press some buttons, and there you
yeah.
go, buddy. There's your movie right there. You don't have to wait a couple of days for it to mail it to you. Why do we have to do that? It's digital now. Come
And the
on.
fun, I love that.
And like, wait, what? Come to the store. No, we're not coming to the store, man. Thanks a lot, though. Nice for the memories. Thanks for and
Yeah.
Blockbusters like,
Yeah, and then look what ended up happening. Everyone had to get on the same train. They had to create their own version, essentially. And then everything started
mm-hmm.
integrating and whatnot. I remember I was going through a business plan and I had this really cool idea. At the same time, I also had to take responsibility for understanding that what would it replace in the market? If my product is out there, what is it
Yeah.
replacing? Is it replacing? Are you actually laying off to other companies because your product actually has the efficiency to replace both those responsibilities? Like, I was just like, I never thought of
Mm-hmm.
but that foresight is so important. Like, as soon as you know, oh, hey, by the way, just in case this takes off, we know what this does in the marketplace and what's going to do. here's like a settlement idea. Thank you for what you've been doing for years. Here's the settlement idea. Do you want to join us and be flexible or not? And somebody else, I think there was another company, I forgot what it was, that kind of did that actually said no. It was Snapchat. Snapchat was about to be bought out by some conglomerate. I forgot what it was. Right. And he said no. And it was for like maybe 1 or 2 million or something like that. Like it was and he knew it. So when he said the no to 1 to 2 million, he was just like, yeah, maybe it was 1 to 2 million. I forgot. But I remember thinking that is the smartest thing to do. But to be very fair, if you don't know how much your product is worth, you'll sell it for $1 million, and then you're like screwed when you could have made $1 billion.
Well, are you screwed for getting $1 million or $2 million? No. But if you can see your value of your company and see the value of what you've done, then okay, you're not being screwed. And if you really believe in the company, like Snapchat, for instance, yeah, that was $1 billion plus eventually, and it was like, yeah, we're not going to sell for $1 million. I think you see how much it's going to be worth down the road also. That's why I only offer $2 million. I think we're going to take, you see it, you're going to make a lot more than $2 million off of this thing. So so chat, the guy was smart about now, because you can see it coming, especially the way the economy is going, the way our digital world is going right now. That companies like that, they're going to be evaluating way more than just millions now, because on board people and get those many eyes in front of all the advertising and whatever you're going to have on your site also. So yeah, onboarding is going to be so easy for these kind of companies, because it's easy to get on. People love Snapchat and be able to jump out and do a little video or whatever and just pop up and, oh, that was cute. And you see an advertisement, cha-ching.
Yeah, and I think it's also like really important that like they knew. They're like, no, we know how much we're worth down the line, especially. And that's great. Now imagine if that person was miserable with their company and they're like, yeah, you can just get rid of me and take it. It's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see people who might be miserable with a company, but I don't know. When you build something like that, it's your baby. Are you really that miserable growing up like that? You see it growing and people are offering money for it. You're like,
yeah,
my baby's
it's different, right?
Up.
Yeah, it's like if it is your sole product. Like for him, it was like, that made sense. That was actually a very smart move. Now, some people, when they build it and they're like, I built something. Okay, it's time. Like you can tell when it's time to cut your losses, and cut your losses early. It's really important. I think I actually spoke with 5 advisors before that. Remember that company that I built? 5. I actually spoke with 5 advisors.
Oh, 5 except advisors. Okay, I thought you were saying your name.
Oh, that's cool. 5 advisors. No, so like that startup that I was building for about 2 years, I actually spoke with 5 advisors before making that move.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like I spoke with my my compliance advisor. I spoke with my diversity and inclusion mentor. I spoke with you. I spoke with let's see, 2 other people from what I remember, and they were advisors on the board that I had. And the moment that I made the decision, they like you could kind of hear it in their voice of like, yeah, that sounds like a really good move. And then once I made the move to leave, right, they were all like, that was the best freaking decision you made. My gosh, we were waiting for you to do it for like a year and a half. And I'm like, what? Why did you tell me that a year and a half ago?
I don't remember.
Not Isaac. Isaac was different. Isaac just heard about what happened and was like, yeah.
They never did find those guys, did they? Never mind.
They're doing okay.
No, I was laughing because I went and saw. I love stand-up comedy. I don't know if you know this about me. A lot of people out there in the world I love stand-up comedy. Anyway, I went and saw a comedian. There was a whole group of comedians last week. There's one comedian. He was of Italian descent, and he liked to play up on the Italian aspect of things from being from New York. And he would talk about saying things like, "Yeah, remember those guys we had problems with? We don't have problems with them anymore. What happened to them? We don't know, but we don't have problems with them no more." You know, it's that kind of thing, kind of attitude he was doing. It was so funny. It was really funny how you play up that Italian mobster aspect of things. It was really funny.
I actually do because like it helps just stop a really uncomfortable conversation with humor, right? It's like, what happened?
Yeah, it does. Bring up uncomfortable conversations also. But some humor can bring up uncomfortable conversations also.
That's true.
Because
yeah, sometimes it's like, funny, maybe you shouldn't have gone there.
But they think it is. You know, you're like, check, please. You know, because like, how can I get away from this conversation and not feel like I'm part of it and kind of sneak out of it, like I'm doing from the screen?
I feel like that only comes for me. That only comes up when somebody else does that, right? So if somebody comes up to me and tells me like, so what happened to that, you know, like that grouping of people that you worked with, or like what about that person that you worked with a while back? I remember once saying to somebody like, I don't know, I believe he's alive.
I believe he's alive.
And I was actually being honest and sincere. Like, that was actually my response. And the person,
or I think he's still around. I don't know. I almost don't care. That kind of answer.
I wasn't trying to be insensitive. I was literally going with, I don't know. I think they're okay. They're out there somewhere. Just, they're not around me. And then I remember that somebody saying to me, "Oh, great, because they owe us money. What, like, hey, we want to work with you and talk to you about something else." And I was like, huh.
Yeah. Because in other words, if you've still been part of their circle, they're like, "Oh, well, we won't work with you probably. Thank you very much for letting us know you don't know him anymore." You know. Yeah. I mean, I know there's been many situations where people realize, no, I'm not part of that group or those people that did that. I'm like, oh, good. Okay, then we know we can still work with you. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. You know, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I started noticing that. And I feel like, so have you ever heard of, there are such things as social climbers, especially in the business world. Look, that supposedly seems like a hack or a cheat or something into like success. There's no hacks. There's no cheats. Like, it's either you built yourself to have the characteristics to be efficient on the spot, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Or not. People can see right through it.
I think just being genuine, every time you have interactions, just be genuine, courteous, nice, and professional. That's the bottom line. That's what people are looking for. You know, they're not looking for a good buddy. They're not looking for Mr. Jokey guy. They're looking for someone who's going to have integrity, someone they know they can trust to work with, and be that person. Because if you're trying to fake it, they can
fake it till you make it. Only goes so far. I actually never believed in that.
I've never.
Yeah, you really don't.
Like I know some people who've lied on resumes. Well, shoot, there's a guy in Congress right now that's lied on his resume big time. He's up there, but he's being called out and he's being hounded all over the place for it. You know, there's certain things you gotta have integrity. You gotta be truthful about things.
So when I think about my resume, I haven't updated my LinkedIn resume in like maybe 10 years or something. I don't know. LinkedIn's been around
for 10 years now.
What, 14, 13? Yeah, it's been around for a while. Okay. I remember when I first made my LinkedIn profile at NBC in like 2014. 9 years.
That's 9
years.
Yeah,
9 years. Okay, maybe I have. I don't know how much it's been on there. But yeah, but like all of that is
Right.
true when I did it then.
Yeah. You've done much
Yeah, I
more
gotta put
since
that up
then.
there. Because I don't,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is, like, not saying that I don't need to. I mean, it's good to be transparent, but sometimes it's good to keep certain things quiet.
Oh, like your stint working as a juggler in a
Well, out of the
circus,
protection of
jumping
your
through
own
fire.
network, right? Like, think about the people
Oh,
that you do, that I work with, that I know, that you've seen. I don't want everyone to know that I have that
mm,
relationship because some people pine for that access.
I get it.
Yeah. And I
I
think it's
understand that.
incredibly
Mm-hmm.
important for people to understand. Yes. Remember that whole, like, when you make a connection, it's only so that both parties benefit. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't really do anything with that. At least not successful. And for the long term, you have to make sure that it's successful on both ends. Even to the point where it's like, if it's not fair to either party, or even to the person connecting, the reality is if any unfairness happens, there is a very high possibility of resentment. And resentment, once it manifests, is incredibly hard in any business relationship to avoid. Like, you have to be able to confront it, figure out what needs to be appreciated, find out where the compensation needs to be, figure out exactly who, what needs to feel valued. Whether it's, right? Yeah. Whether it's like, oh my gosh, you did so much for me. Thank you so much. Here is the compensation for that, for what it's worth, even if it's been 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's less than 10 years for most cases, but yeah, time has been time, but still, I mean,
Juneteenth took
yeah.
freaking a century, in my opinion. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's never too late to pay someone back.
No, it's not. Hmm. But yeah, I just think it's so neat right now looking at the platforms that people can make money on right now, just online alone. You know what I mean? Things that weren't available 5 years ago, not to mention 10 or 20 years ago. You know, I mean, it's changed so much, and that you can, off this gig economy, people can make money from their houses, whole, year salaries.
Yeah.
And more.
I think it's awesome. There's certain things that I learned in a day where I was just like, I didn't know that this was possible. This is great. I remember when we were, all right, so remember when we were in the pandemic, we were pretty much used to, like, okay, we have to figure out a way to make income, not necessarily through a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what I've been doing since I moved to California, pretty much anyway. You know, God's blessed me with a lot of things where I've made work more money doing my voiceovers and also doing the film and TV I've done since I've gotten here. And I was just smart with my money, didn't spend it all, and I kept it and saved it, tried to make it grow, put it in different things. But at the same time, I always had enough to where if I didn't have a job at all, I could pay all my bills. You know what I mean? Moved out to California. I knew I'd had enough money saved up before I even got to California, where I needed to work for 2 years. And I had in place because I don't want to be that guy who came to LA with $500
There's so
in his
many people who
pocket,
do
a
that.
dream. You know what I mean?
There,
I know.
yeah, there,
And
yeah.
some have to. Most end up going back home because this isn't the place to come out for your dream and $500 in your pocket. The reality is going to be like, oh, this is way more expensive than even where I came from. I got to figure out where I'm going to live, how I'm going to eat, and how I'm going to make money while trying to make my dream come true. But I knew that I wanted to have my money in place before I came out here, which is what I did. So I didn't have to worry about a job. I had 2 jobs waiting for me when I got here at Universal Studios.
Yeah,
Up
I
here.
moved out
So
to
it was
LA
great.
for the job.
They were part of the Waterworks show, but I had fun.
And that's awesome. Like I moved out to LA with a job as well. Like I think I got like a year-long contract as a like a TV development assistant from New York to LA. And that was actually incredibly
Okay.
rare. People don't do that either. I remember I came out to LA a month prior to and just started like met with 2 to 3 people a day and mentioned, I'm coming out here. I'm serious. I want to work here. And that's how I ended up getting a job a month later. Thank you. Yeah. It's
Oh,
like, it's showing the commitment. Like if you're committed to be there, like you gotta, the proof has to be there. The proof has to be shown. So it's like, in my opinion, coming out here with a dream, don't get me wrong, it can work for some people.
that some
It can work for some
people
people.
can work.
Um, but the idea of like reality, like understanding, okay, how am I going to get out there? What am I going to have? Are my needs going to be met? Awesome. If you can figure that out. I remember I got all of that in 2 weeks and I pre-planned it too to get here. Like I remember I didn't have an apartment yet, but within that month we were able to get an apartment. I was able to get a car. I was able to get furniture. I was able to put everything in a place and then start working on that Monday. Like that was perfectly awesome. And I was also younger then. I had a lot of energy when I was 22.
Oh, you're still
There is a
now.
stark
Yeah.
difference. Like I remember, okay, there's such a huge difference. All right, so I was talking to these 19-year-old dancers one day and I was on set and I remember listening to them and thinking, you slept an hour before coming here? And all you're on is like a Tylenol for a headache? What? There is a huge difference. I was like, I remember when I used to do that. Now I'm like, health is so important.
Ah, yeah. I remember things
Even
like that when I was young too.
alcohol. Like I can't, even alcohol I'm very cautious about. I seriously am now. That what you've known me for 3 years. Last year or 2 years ago, I was like, wow, they weren't kidding. When you hit a certain age, alcohol does hit you. I remember waking up the next morning and thinking, I used to be able to recover and go to work within 15 minutes. Now I worry about having a depressive state when I drink alcohol the day before. Now I just don't drink it.
Yes. Someone's just listed. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Planet of the Apes, and shoot, I mean, there was some days I had a 3:30 a.m. call time. We were on location, so yeah, and it was a 4-hour makeup every single day. But I loved it, but I've never been drunk in my life. I drink alcohol. I just don't drink to excess. I never have. I do like the taste of it. I like wine, I like going to wine tasting and stuff like that. But yeah, I never really had the problem of drinking alcohol and the next day not being able to do anything or feeling it at all because I don't really drink much. And when I do drink, I still don't feel anything the next day because it's like just me again. My body
I
absorbed it and
am,
got rid of it,
you
and
are
there you
4
go.
of me. It's not the same.
I'm not 4 of you. I mean, you do weigh 100 pounds, so I'm not
That
400
is true. I
pounds. Thank you
apologize.
very
But when I think
much.
of your frame,
Yeah, I like my frame. I'm very happy with it. I'm very thankful for the frame I have now compared to the frame I had
okay.
when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I was a teenager. I was a stick figure, 145 pounds when I was 16, 6 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Stick figure. Only muscle I had was
I
my butt. That
I
was it.
actually, when I went home to visit my parents, I tried on like the high school uniforms I used to wear for like cheerleading or whatever. That's an interesting image. Um,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so I put it on.
Catholic school
Oh,
girl,
goodness.
but whatever.
So, so I put it on and I found out I fit everything I used to wear in high school.
Oh,
Same
so you're still
size.
about the
I'm a little
same
bit
size.
lighter. Yeah, I had like baby fat
Lighter.
in in
Oh,
high
okay.
school, and I just like I put it on. I was like, oh well. And I've been noticing I am looking younger every year since
Hmm.
24. Like somebody had mentioned to me the other day, I was like, you have been 19 for the past 6 years. Some girl that knew me, I guess, for about 6 years. And I don't get me wrong, I appreciate her, and she's probably watching. Thank you, Angelina. And she mentioned how she saw me and was just like, wow, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 30. And she was like, no, you aren't. You've been 19 for like 6 years. You haven't. I'm like, you know, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo does like change a lot of this. Oh my gosh, yes. I know this one woman who has been in the business since like the 70s and hardcore in the 80s. And like I think she's in her 70s. She has the body of a gymnast 16-year-old. And she chants. And I'm just like, girl, I want to, that's my future. Cool. I'm going to keep chanting every day.
I'm sure she's eating.
Well, the chanting
right
also
too,
is like, so chanting, what it does essentially is it's not like a magical wand and boom. It's like you chant, and then as you're chanting, your thoughts basically purify. So you are clearly understanding what to do for your best health, as long as you set that as your intention. You clearly understand what you want to eat, what you need to eat, what health things do you need to take care of, and you have all this like energy from the chanting to have the wisdom and apply it into your daily life. And that's like really important for people to know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not magic. Yeah. It's very like, it's similar to meditation, but not exactly. Like, you're not clearing your mind. You are purifying your thoughts down to the level of, yeah.
I see it. Okay. Yeah. But, you know, it's been about an hour. I thought we were going to do kind of went over. But I'm glad that we had a nice, wonderful conversation again today. I appreciate you so much for getting on the call. I know we go through our technical things, but I really, and it's good. Yeah. Good time. I appreciate you also. Hope everybody else had a good time out there. I hope everybody is really going after what they really want to do in life, because, you know, you just get this one and that's it. So you should go for it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it, because if you believe them, then you can't do it. You know, if you go for it, go for your dreams, make them come true. Wonderful. Thank you. Such beautiful closing words. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next week. Bye. See you all later.